Welcome to the Escape the Drift podcast. I am Dr. Jacob Egbert, and today's title is Monsters at the Gate. Now, I want to preface this by saying this is inspired by a few recent events and some conversation that I've been observing on the internet, and that is around bullying and being prepared to prevent bullying in yourself as well as to stand up for others. And there's a movement within the jiu-jitsu community where people are going to be offering free classes for those that are victims of bullying. And this is being spurred on by Tom DeBlas. And you can look this up on the internet. I don't know his website yet. At this time, he doesn't have it released, but he's going to be creating this web of jiu-jitsu gyms around the country that will be supporting the effort to prevent and diminish bullying by preparing those that are at risk. Now, the conversation started. He had highlighted this story of a young girl who was bullied, was beat up, and a video was taken of this incident. And that video was spread by other girls and guys, girls and boys, whatever, within her community, and it became quite embarrassing for her, to the extent that she committed suicide. Now, this is an awful and horrible experience or incident or whatever you want to call it for all those involved, her especially. You know, she paid the biggest price, of course. And the community members, her family, etc., etc. And yet, this isn't a unique situation, unfortunately. And it brings up this welling of injustice and what could have been done. And there are those that are stepping forward and saying, well, I have a solution. And the solution for these is to train those that are at risk of bullying or who have experienced bullying to be more capable of self-defense physically. Now, I think this is great, and I will do what I can to support this. I am a member of the jiu-jitsu community. I'm a member of a gym, and I will encourage all those that participate to support movements like this. Now, in the conversation, because I have a group of jiu-jitsu guys, we have this group text, so to speak, and we're conversating. You know, we have conversations, we share funny memes and videos, but we also get into these deeper points. And this is one that came up, and this got my wheels turning. And it's a topic that I'm going to introduce here in a moment that's been on my mind for quite some time. It's been in the ether. I'm sure you've heard these phrases that I'll bring up here in a moment, and that is this: you should be a monster. Being harmless is not good. You should be a monster. And there was this other quote, and it was from a movie, and I don't remember the name of the movie, but it's a Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson. And Woody Harrelson's character asks the McConaughey character, do you ever wonder if you're a bad man? And he says, no, I don't wonder. And something to the effect, I don't have this perfect, but he said, you have to be a bad man to keep the bad men at the door. And so, this prompted me to want to speak today on the topic of monsters at the gate. And this is something that I am very emotionally moved by and motivated by and inspired by, and that is the need for, or the calling to, becoming dangerous. Becoming dangerous and a threat as a protector, as he who stands for good in the world. If there are monsters coming to the gate to infiltrate your home, your community, your city, those monsters are ruthless and dangerous. And a harmless man is not going to stand up against those monsters. It's going to require an equally dangerous man, if not more dangerous, defend, to prevent those monsters from entering. And so, this call to become a monster. There are so many quotes, so many things, so many sayings that I've collected over the years. One of them is this, and it's a simple one. Speaking to a wife, do you want the man who cannot defend you, who cannot protect your family, who cannot keep the monster at the gate? And the answer should absolutely be no. Each individual man has the obligation to become dangerous, to become a threat to those who would come through the gate. We have protectors in place. We have the military. We have police. We have those that have designated themselves as the protectors in their individual roles as a collective to protect us at large. Now, if you're having trouble at your own home or in your own community on an individual basis, and you have to wait for or call for help for these men to come, it may be too late. And therefore, the call is for you individually to become the monster at the gate that prevents the other monster from penetrating, from getting in, to causing harm to you and yours. Now, this is clearly physical. What are those ways to protect yourself physically? Don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Be prepared at the highest level. So, arming yourself, being trained in the usage of those arms. Absolutely. Don't be underprepared. The monsters coming to you need to be met with superior power. Okay. Somehow the weaponry is unavailable or neutralized. Do you have what it takes physically to defend yourself and your family? To hold off the monster at the gate long enough for your family to seek safety? Do you have that capacity? And if not, why? What are you waiting for? So for me, this is something that I train regularly. I train in jiu-jitsu. I think this is one of the most powerful means of becoming the monster. I train my body physically. I become as strong as possible. And I am strong. I am fit and I am capable. And I'm getting better and better and better as I continue to train. I've dabbled in striking. I need to do more. I have guns in my home. I have practiced with them, but I'm not as trained as I want to be, and I will never be as prepared as I need to be. But I will continue to gain and learn and train, because I will be the monster at the gate. Now that's simple. That is obvious in some ways. Become capable of defending physically your family, your body, your partner, the community members. When you're out in public, be the one that can stand up to the monster. That's the call. And then there's more. So become physically threatening. Become as strong as possible, as trained as possible, as knowledgeable as possible, aware of the dangers. Then there's more, and this is what I wanted to talk about. This isn't simply brute force, physical mano a mano. While necessary, absolutely, there is more, and that is in the world of standing up for that what is right. Standing up for that which you know to be true. Standing up for that which, when you hear an opposing idea or a threatening perspective, when that hair on the back of your neck stands up and says, this is not right. This is dangerous. that is the call for you to step forward and become dangerous in response, because that is a monster at the gate. There are so many monsters at the gate. Cultural slide in the tearing down of the fabric of morality. And I'm not one who is moral from the perspective of religion, but morality in the fact that there is good and there is evil. There are things coming in your communities, in your hearts, in your own body, in your own mind. There are things coming into your family, your children's awareness, their perspectives, that you have the obligation to stand at the gate. You have to be prepared. You have to be knowledgeable, aware, and have strategy and tactics to prevent the dangers from infiltrating. And this isn't a call for some, I use the word moral, but what I really want to emphasize is that there are things that will degrade the stability of your community, your families, etc. And you can decide what those are for your own particular feelings. If it's Christian values or if it's simply logic or whatever you want to call it, a secular perspective on preservation of governmental law and order, family values, etc. It doesn't have to be connected to religion. But there are principles that will guide you to success. Defend those. We just had this pandemic, and this was an opportunity for people to stand up, and most did not, to protest violations of your personal freedom under the guise of danger. But you knew, you felt it deep inside. You're like, something isn't right here. This doesn't sound right. And did you stand up? Did you say no? Those are the situations. And maybe this is a beautiful opportunity to have learned what you're made of. And you may not have stood up the way that you, in retrospect, see that you could have. Fine. Learn from that and never let it happen again. Be the person who will stand for that which you strongly believe is best for you and yours. Okay, this is the next layer that I want to talk about when we go back to the bullying. When you stand up for that which you know to be right, honorable, true, beneficent, when you do that vocally, when you stand up to the person at the grocery store or in the community and your children see you stand up, when they see you speak your mind, when they see the power of man, stand for what he believes in, when he prepares himself, when he trains himself, when he goes out there and fights for his family in all the ways, financially, relationship, in the community, physically, all of these things. When your children see that, they are emboldened, they are encouraged, they feel safe, and they have example. So when the bully is picking on the child and everybody has their phones out filming, laughing, perhaps your child will say, "This is not right. And I got 3 buddies here that agree with me, and we 4 are going to go in and stop this immediately." Because they have seen what a monster can do. And they become little monsters, whatever you want to call it. But do you see what I'm saying here with the example of how a man acts in the world? And I'm saying man. And there's a female version of this. And that's a conversation for a female leader. But learn from this regardless. When they see you stand up and they know they're safe, they will do what is right. And there needs to be more. They need to have community. They need to have friends that are all doing the same thing. If the little boy who's being bullied triggers in your child and his friends, this is not right, and they step in, it will stop. Because the bully will see the consequence, the repercussion. And there will be consequences. And there will be opportunity to stand up and defend. And don't be afraid to do what is right. To be the monster at the gate and train the next generation of monsters at the gates. So this is something that has so many applications in your day-to-day life. What you allow yourself to view on the internet, what you allow yourself to eat, what you allow yourself to do with your free time. Be the monster at the gate, because there are monsters and they are coming more and more every day. And I'm not here to preach, but I'm here to sound the alarm yet again, because there are many people out there speaking this way, and it needs to be on blast. Share this, share every time you hear something that just like emboldens you to stand tall and to be that lion. Be the monster at the gate. So I encourage some form of combat training, because it develops a sense of confidence in your human, to know that you can go in. Because when you train in combat, let's say it's boxing, let's say it's Muay Thai, let's say it's grappling of some kind, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, MMA. In the act of training, you see what you're made of. You have to face your inadequacies. You have to go in and suck at it. You go in and you are beat over and over and over. And when you stick with it, eventually you start to gain ground. You start to gain capability. You're training your body. You're becoming stronger. You're becoming more technical. And you get to try that over and over, because you have competitors, you have training partners that have to train with you. And you develop this confidence that when you walk into a room and you've been training for 2 years in jiu-jitsu, you look around, you say, there is not a single person in here I cannot handle physically. That's a beautiful feeling. And when your children see you do this, they are emboldened, they are encouraged, they are strengthened, because then they will want to be like you. And you will take them to classes, you will train them, they will grow up with the skills. Start now. I started jiu-jitsu training at 42. I was physically capable, I was athletic my whole life. I had that. And then I started training. And within 2 years, which is now, I feel highly capable. Sure, there are those that are further along the journey that can best me. Good for them. And thank you for that, because that will only make me better. But in the general community, nobody can best me in this physical pursuit. And that's just the reality. You go and train for 2 years and there is almost no one who can take you physically that is untrained. And maybe that's a different story with weapons, of course, but I'm just talking hand-to-hand combat, wrestling on the ground, grappling. You will be superior. Now, going back into the other areas of life, the encouragement. So I'm encouraging you, take up something like jiu-jitsu, whether it's Muay Thai, boxing, MMA, whatever it is, become skilled, find out what you're made of, and develop yourself. Next, become vocal within your social group. Find out who has your back. Find out who has similar principles and ideals. Find out who within your community is a safe beacon, who you can go to when things change, if they do. If things get rough, who is it that you can rely on? And start having those conversations. Develop your network. Because a monster alone is not as strong as a team of monsters. When you stand up, others will stand up with you. That's just what's so. If you have a righteous, and I say that from a principled perspective, when you have a righteous intention, there will be those that follow. And there are many of them waiting, for example, for leadership, for that person who will step forward and say, I will not do this. And then they'll say, well, me neither. I've been waiting for this. Because not everybody has the courage that you have. And again, your children need to see this, and they need to be taught when they see bullying to step forward and stop it, to do something about it immediately before it escalates. If people are sending mean videos or mean conversations, texts, to stop it, save the lives of those that are victims of this, because it is their life on the line. It's not as innocent as simple, oh, they got pushed down or they got an attack that was harmless. The teasing and the relentless negativity can take lives. And of course you know this. This is not new to you. But if you can encourage those children to be strong, to be bold, and you have to show them what it looks like to be a monster at the gate. That is all I want to say about this. I think the invitation is clear. I think the direction that you must go to become the monster is clear. A weekend course will not do it. I guarantee you. You will not learn enough. You will not have the reps. You will not have the wherewithal to understand what true combat is until you've been on the floor, on the mat, over and over and over. And take that into any area of preparation. Business. You can't just have an idea and become a business person. You have to go through reps and reps and reps. Try, see, feel, do. And it's the same with physical pursuits. It's the same with habits. It's the same with ideas and communication. If you want to be a communicator, get out there and communicate. Become dangerous, a threat with your words. Practice over and over and over. Become the monsters at the gate. This is the Escape the Drift podcast, and I am Dr. Jacob Egbert.